it's all about the clap back. Get your boss whack, Premier's funeral on Snapchat. You now tuned into the bag.
The sky's gray, it's like this every day. The town is full of predator, I'm turning a little prey. I flip $1 million out of nothing, make them feel a certain way. Hoping that the switch.
What's good, y'all? Fisk Vegas, the hardest voice of sports. Go ahead, hit that like button and subscribe to the Fisk. You know why you at it. Y'all know what time it is. If you ain't with it, you best get with it. Now let's rock. Listen, before we begin, hit that subscribe button, man. I'm trying to get the 4,000 subs before the draft. So hit that sub button. Let's get that goal and keep this Fisk unit movement as strong as possible. You understand me? With that being said, thank you to Drew Brees. Alright, thank you. I have been on the there will be no Drew Brees slander on my channel for a while now. You know, now granted, I thought he was bugging with the workout video. Like, Drew, we don't need you to come back. But at the same time, it's one of those situations where it's like, you can't slander the all-time passing leader. You can't slander the man that saved the Saints franchise after Hurricane Katrina. It's like, Drew Brees brought a championship to the Saints, to the Aints, to the team that wore bags over their heads for 90% of their existence. He brought a Super Bowl to a franchise that was dumb enough to trade all their picks for a fucking runner back. Alright, Saints done had some blunders in the past, man. So this is just a situation where it comes to Drew Brees where it's like his legacy is bigger than rings. And this is what I was saying when I did that video. Remember when Brees did the workout, when he was running he was running around the street with the weights. I'm like, Drew, that second ring does nothing for your legacy. There's no point in you coming back, risking further injuries, risking looking washed. There's no point. That ring does nothing for your legacy. Tom Brady got 7 rings. What the hell is your 2 gonna mean? Alright, this is, you know what I'm saying? It's like, if you believe somebody is better than Tom Brady, you're saying it for reasons other than rings. Okay, so if Drew Brees gets another ring, he's 5 behind Brady. It's not like a Peyton Manning ring where Peyton Manning went to a whole other franchise in the Broncos and won another Super Bowl. You could compete with Brady in situations like that because it's like, yo, I took another franchise to a Super Bowl. I think Tom Brady and Peyton Manning are the only 2 quarterbacks to actually do that, if I'm not mistaken. That's different. But you winning the second Super Bowl with the Saints wasn't going to change your legacy. Your legacy is always going to be the greatest quarterback in Saints history. The guy who brought a championship to New Orleans. That's your legacy. And that's a good legacy to have because the Knicks are still waiting for somebody to give them a championship. They ain't won in 50 years. The Browns are waiting for somebody to bring them a championship. They ain't won since shit was in black and white. So you being the guy that brought that championship to New Orleans, it's a great legacy to have. And you're the Wilt Chamberlain of football. Bottom line. Every time somebody, now that Drew Brees is retired, he's going to be Wilt Chamberlain. He's going to be the guy that on every Monday night football game, every Sunday night football game, every Sunday afternoon, when Patrick Mahomes or Deshaun Watson, when one of these quarterbacks do some ill shit, they're going to pull up a graphic and it's going to have Drew Brees at the top of it. It's going to be like, only Drew Brees and Peyton Manning and now Patrick Mahomes have done this. Or, oh, this is the first quarterback since Drew Brees to do this. He's Wilt Chamberlain. Every time you look up a stat in the NBA that involves scoring, it's like, damn, Wilt Chamberlain, Michael Jordan, and this person. Or Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and this person. It's like, that's going to be Drew Brees, man. And that's a good legacy. Drew Brees was he put up numbers. Let's not act like Drew Brees wasn't the guy who put up numbers. He was this generation's Dan Marino. Drew Brees was throwing for 5,000 yards on a consistent basis. Never had Hall of Fame talent around him. Who's Drew Brees' Hall of Fame receiver? I'll wait. It's too early to call it on Michael Thomas. Who's Drew Brees' Hall of Fame receiver? Marquise Colson? Y'all talk about Tom Brady did the most with the least. There's a guy in New Orleans who was throwing for 5,000 yards and his best receiver was a 7th round pick of Marcus Colson, some random name Lance Moore, another random name Robert Meacham. Devery Henderson was there for a cup of coffee. Reggie Bush, Darren Sproles. I mean, his best players were running backs. He had Jimmy Graham for a cup of coffee. I mean, y'all act like Drew Brees had Marvin and Wayne, or he had Jerry Rice, or he had Randy Moss. If you really want to look at it, if you want to compare Drew Brees and Tom Brady has had more consistent help than Drew Brees. Tom Brady has had Rob Gronkowski, probably the greatest tight end that ever lived, his whole career. He had a couple seasons with Randy Moss. Julian Edelman, like him or not, is the greatest playoff wide receiver of all time. Look at the stats; they don't lie. So if you want to keep it 150,000, when you take in effect, Tom Brady's always had a defense, and when you take it to the fact that he's always had consistent weapons, I can make a case that Drew Brees has done the most with the least for the entirety of his career. Nobody mentions that. Nobody gives Drew Brees the credit for what he does. Everybody just looks at Drew Brees and they say, oh, well, he's the guy who didn't get it done in the playoffs. The only bad playoff game I ever seen Drew Brees play was the Minnesota Viking game 2 years ago. Other than that, Drew Brees had the lead when he left the field in that Minnesota Miracle. Drew Brees put his team in position to win when they got robbed by the Rams. Drew Brees had the lead when he left the field on the Beastquake game. Didn't Drew Brees set a passing record in that playoff game, by the way? I could have sworn Drew Brees was it a completion record or was it a passing yards? Drew Brees set some kind of playoff record versus the Seahawks in that game. It ain't his fault the defense couldn't tackle Marshawn Lynch. Drew Brees was very unlucky in the playoffs. Let's just call it what it was. It's not like Brett Favre where Drew Brees is out there just throwing game-ending interceptions game after game after game. It really just came down to Drew Brees was unlucky. The Minnesota Miracle, Drew Brees is down 17 points in the third quarter, and he walked them motherfuckers down. The Vikings were a top 3 defense. Down 17 in the third quarter. Drew Brees, he walked them down. So, when I look at Drew Brees, he's the greatest, he's probably the most accurate quarterback of all time. Nobody's going to touch his completion percentages. How many seasons has Drew Brees thrown for 70% plus completion percentages? I mean, Drew Brees his greatness won't be appreciated till 5 years from now. It's going to take a couple years for people to appreciate Drew Brees' greatness. You feel me? And that's fine. You know, I mean, look, yo, what Tom Brady is doing, it's not normal. Tom Brady, it's not normal, man. Like, but give Brees credit. He played till he was 40. What is he, 41? He played 20 seasons. 20. Get a man credit. Brady is 6'5". Drew Brees is 6 foot. I'm going to say it again. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, they're 6'5". Drew Brees is 6 foot. And when it's all said and done, he'll never get the credit he deserves because his best years were in the primes of Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. He was always the other guy. His best years were always in the same era as Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Drew Brees was the other guy. And then Aaron Rodgers had his little moment. Then Patrick Mahomes came around. You got all these young little Josh Allens and Lamar Jacksons running the ball all over the damn field. So it just, Drew Brees never had his, I really wish he would have won that MVP in Mahomes' rookie year, but whatever. I really wish Drew Brees could have got one MVP to super validate his greatness, but it's all good, man. Shout out to number 9, yo. You will be missed, but like you said on the sideline a couple months ago, Jameis, it's your team now. That's it, that's all. Subscribe to the unit if you rockin' with me. My name is Fisk Vegas, and I approve this message.